Hello Mustang basketball fans, and welcome to another edition of Mustang Basketball with Brad Bigler. I'm your host, Kelly Loft, Athletic Communications Director at Southwest Minnesota State University, and we're back. It's been a couple of weeks, now the new year, and again we'll talk Mustang basketball. A nice Mustang victory this past Saturday night against Minnesota State Mankato. We'll talk about that ball game, take a look at the highlights, and preview this weekend's games versus the University of Mary and Northern State University. And joining us is the head coach, Brad Bigler. Mustangs been off for a couple of weeks during the Christmas break. That's when we took some time off, but since coming back, the Mustangs have played 3 games since the new year, splitting a pair of road games at Minnesota Crookston, earning a victory, and then losing to Minnesota State Moorhead, who was ranked to the top 20. But the Mustangs came back and beat Minnesota State Mankato 82-63 on the 7th. And the Mustangs now 7-6 overall, 6-3 in the conference, and right now tied for 4th place in the NSIC. And Coach, Happy New Year to you. It's great to be back here on the show talking basketball, and it's been a whirlwind. Seems a couple of weeks here getting back after Christmas. You got a few days, 4 or 5 days of practice, go to Crookston and Moorhead. Finally got back at home, and what a great win this past Saturday against the Mavericks.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to get out there and compete in front of the home crowd. I want to thank the home crowd for coming out and supporting us like they did, especially when we don't have the students on campus. It was nice to see that big crowd.
Yeah, the Mustangs win 82-63 over the Mavericks. Of course, Minnesota State, a team that advanced to the Final Four last year, won the conference regular season championship, and the Mustangs got it done here on this past Saturday, 82-63. SMSU shoots 53% in the game, limits the Mavericks to 35%. And overall, Coach, we'll look at the highlights and get more in depth, but overall, your effort on both ends of the floor, extremely solid play for the Mustangs, and that led to a nice 16-point halftime lead.
Yeah, before the game, I think both coaches were probably talking a lot about toughness and coming out with some intensity, and I thought our guys did a great job, especially early on, setting the tone, getting out and pressing. We were able to get some tips on some balls, get some easy baskets, and get our confidence early. Yeah,
you held the Mavericks to 23% shooting in the first half. You shoot 48%, made one three-point field goal, but you just saw the effort on both ends of the floor. As you mentioned, you had great action to the rim. Incredible numbers scoring-wise. Southwest, 60 points in the paint. You outscored the Mavericks 60-22 in points in the paint. And you take out some free throws and the one three-pointer. Basically, 60 of the 67 points or so that were scored, from 2 points were all inside the paint. And that was just great layups and a great execution. And not only the score, but away from the ball as well.
Yeah, and in the past, Minnesota State Mankato has caused us problems with their switching away from the basketball. We simplified our offense and really try to space them out, get action to the rim, like you said, and limit their ability to be able to get out in passing lanes and make plays on balls.
Well, talking about that, everybody sees the score and maybe who gets a rebound, but what goes on away from the basketball? Because you're setting up screens and picks and all those type of things before the shot gets off. And how crucial is that to executing an offensive game plan?
Well, a lot of times it comes back to having good timing on the backside, or we call the backside or weak side. But just being able to read your defenders, understand if there's a post touch, where do I need to be. A lot of times we talk about pro spots and guys getting to places on the floor that they can be threats. Other times there's when a guy drives the baseline or drives to the middle. How do I move off that to be able to be a threat? And I thought our guys did a good job against Mankato.
Yeah, Mustangs, as you mentioned, 4 players scored in double figures. William Giddings with 15, 11 for Nick Smith and Jordan Miller, while 12 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals for Matt Zager in the contest as well. Just a balanced attack. He had 9 guys play in the first half, and every one of them scored, and that's exactly what you want to do for your offense.
And they were active. A lot of it started with our defense, being able to, again, press, set the tone, like we already talked about, but really just get out in the open floor and run in transition, space the floor in transition. Again, take easy shots, play within your strengths.
SMSU 15 of 21 from the free throw line, 33-40. The Mustangs were out rebounded, but the Mavericks missed a lot of shots. And a key, again, Coach, just 8 turnovers for your squad as well, and you forced 13 on the Mavericks, but hanging on the basketball has been key, it seems like, in victories this season.
And that was a big improvement from coming out of the Crookston-Moorhead games. I thought on that 2-game series, we hurt ourselves a lot just by simple mistakes, mistakes that were on us, not necessarily the defense creating them. And that was something that we needed to clean up. It was good to see that, and as we get going, hopefully we can keep those numbers similar to what we did Saturday.
Yeah, obviously 82 points. You had a very good offensive game against the Mavericks, but you look at the guys off the bench. I mean, you get production like Casey Susan-Guth, Lavion West. They combine 6 of 7 shooting. Trent Carlson makes 4 field goals as well, and that's despite Tramel Barnes not even making a basket, who played well, had 8 rebounds, did score 5 points. But those are the kind of the games you need to have Casey, Lavion West, Michael Apple. Those guys need to score 6-7 points a game and to make this team successful.
And it kind of goes back to being able to have multiple threats on the floor at all times. And when those guys come off the bench and they can get in a rhythm, they knock down some shots early on, that just gives us a lot of confidence.
SMSU shot 58% in the second half of the game and outscored the Mavericks 46-43 and led by as many as 29 points. Never let MSU into the contest. So the Mustangs with the win, now 7-6 overall, 6-3 in the Northern Sun Conference. And some of the stats to look at and some of the players, Coach, and we've talked about him throughout the season. Sophomore William Giddings continues to know his role and what he can do. He's had some unbelievable dunks this season. On the road, unfortunately, the Mustang fans didn't get to see one of the best dunks ever against Minnesota State Moorhead. He had 3 of them against Minnesota Crookston, but he's making some jump shots. But just when he gets around the rim, he knows how to finish. And
not only does he know how to finish, he's finishing through contact. He's being a highlight reel anytime he gets in the air, and that's good. I mean, that's good for our team. I mean, he brings a spark. I think the best thing from a coaching side of things is right now Will doesn't hurt us on the offensive end. He never turns the basketball over. Very limited times where he turns the basketball over. He's taking good shots. He's sharing the basketball. He's doing all the things that you want out of a team as far as being a team basketball player. And right now he's playing with a lot of confidence.
And some other guys playing very well. You look at your point guards and Bernard Birch and Tramel Barnes. And then you have Jordan Miller that can distribute the basketball. Those 3 players all have at least 30 assists on this season, and it's just great to have. Jordan can bring the ball up and make some plays obviously happen, but Tramel and Bernard also, just having an extra guy be able to handle the basketball has just been critical this season.
And that's probably one of the biggest differences with last year. Having another primary ball handler on the floor takes a lot of pressure off all of them. And what it also does is allows those other guys to really sit back and they can create opportunities. So Tramel's, as you saw last week, it was creating a lot of opportunities for Matt Zager, for Will Giddings to get those easy buckets. And that's where a defense has to decide, do I step up and stop the drive with Tramel or Bernard, or do I make them finish? And when you watch the highlights, there's going to be many times where those point guards have to make the right read when they drive hard to the baseline or hard to the middle. Are they stepping up? Do I need to create right now, or is this a scoring opportunity? And I thought they did a good job.
Yes, they have on the season. Bernard Birch leads the team with 51 assists. Jordan Miller has 43, while Tramel Barnes has 30. As the Mustangs have racked up 176 assists in a 13-game, averaging about 13.5 per game. So, again, the Mustangs with the win, 82-63 over the Mavericks. You are watching Mustang basketball with Brad Bigler. I'm Kelly Loft with the head coach Brad Bigler, and the Mustangs continue their homestand this weekend as they take on the University of Mary on Friday night at 8 o'clock, and then Northern State on Saturday, and that's also an 8 o'clock start. So 8 o'clock starts both nights against the Marauders and the Wolves coming up this weekend. And Coach, before the break, we mentioned the next 6 games. 3 of them were going to be at home, and also going into following that as well. But you thought probably had to like to get 5 wins at least out of that stretch or so, or 4-1 in those 5 games, going to Moorhead, to Crookston, and of course you had the home games against Winona and Upper Iowa before that. And so far you've held serve, you've got some wins. We did lose at Moorhead, but this is a huge weekend coming up against these 2 teams, and obviously you got to take it one step at a time, and that's beat Mary on Friday night.
And we've talked many times where just taking care of your home court. I think that's the biggest thing right now. I think our guys have taken a lot of pride in playing at home, and that's what you need to do to be able to set yourself up for later on in the year to maybe host a conference tournament or to even win the regular season tournament. So our guys are playing at a pretty high level. They have a good energy at home. And this weekend, like you said, it's a big weekend. If we can just continue to improve on that effort areas and be more consistent on our decision making so we have less turnovers, that'll set us up for success.
And obviously it all becomes getting ready for the weekend starts in practice. And now you kind of get a normal week now. You have a full week to get ready for Mary. You get school back in session, and you get back out on the court here on Tuesday and just have a good week of practice. And we've talked about this over the years on the show about how you prepare for a conference weekend, but give the fans an insight. We'll see the highlights, how it all comes together during the Mankato game here shortly, but talk about how you prepare for Mary and then when you have a team the next night. Very unusual. It does happen a lot in Division II basketball, but having back-to-back games makes it difficult and unusual to prepare for opponents.
Yeah, and I personally prefer our schedule. The Friday, Saturday night, it doesn't bother me to travel between games on the road. I think it's more... it's easier for the parents when they were to come travel from a distance to come up here and catch the game. So I do like our schedule. The issue with that is how do you prepare? We always, early in the week, we prepare for our Saturday opponent early in the week, and then later on in the week we come back and we knock out our Friday opponents. And so right now on Monday and Tuesdays, we've been preparing for Northern. We'll come back Wednesday and Thursday, prepare for Mary, and that's something that's been successful for us. That's something that I learned from Coach Steeman and then Coach Miles. So it's nothing new to the Mustang program.
You bet. Well, it should be an interesting weekend as the Mustangs take on the Marauders and the Wolves at the RA facility. But again, the Mustangs coming off a nice win against Minnesota State Mankato, 82-63. We've talked about the contest. Now let's take a look at some of the highlights. There were plenty of them at the RA facility this past Saturday. And we start, Coach, here in the opening half of the Mustangs getting after it defensively. Jordan Miller with one of the 9 steals for the Mustangs, and that led to a transition basket by Will Giddings.
Here you see just some good spacing. Nick getting the post touch. Guys just waiting to see if they're going to go double. They don't, and Nick takes advantage of it and scores the easy 2.
Nick Smith, 5 of 6 shooting. Trent Carlson hitting the only 3 for the Mustangs. Mustangs 1 of 9, but he hits that trademark high arcer in the corner. Off and end out. Great job by Birch finding Nick Smith for the dunk. Jordan Miller, again, 11 points, hits this 17-footer. And then another steal by Matt Zager, who's really played well all year defensively.
And that's kind of a transition, scramble situation where Matt makes a play on the ball, makes a read, comes down, and then finishes off the backdoor layup.
Again, there's moving away from the basketball, making it very easy. Pass for Birch, and then Zager that basket, and then Lavion West with the dunk, and again cutting, and you'll see why the points in the paint there for the Mustangs, 60 of them. And here's, again, great job by SMSU on the steal.
Another scramble, and Trammell gets out in good passing lane, makes a play on that ball. Trent finishes off with a layup.
Trammell Barnes doesn't score here, but gets fouled on the play, maybe once or twice or possibly 3 times, and finally gets the foul called on him, and he'll go to the line.
And that was just good effort by Trammell trying to finish out that play. You see here Matt getting another steal, getting up to Will Giddings for the layup.
Again, Giddings 6 of 10 shooting in the Mustang victory. Trammell Barnes drawing a foul. Again, getting to the line. 5 of 8. Trammell from the free throw stripe.
Great move by Matt and Casey to be able to finish that up with the tip.
Susan Guth, 6 points, 3 of 3 shooting, as you saw that tip. Here's a tough hit by Jordan Miller driving to the basket and giving the Mustangs. And now here's a pretty interesting here, the last minute or so of this first half, and really got you guys some momentum.
Again, that's just us taking advantage of opportunities. Here at the end, you see Bernard Birch with the teardrop, and then Jordan Miller with the nice steal and the finish.
That was a big play there at the end of the half. Mustangs 36-20, scoring the last 4 points of that half and taking a 16-point lead. Moving on to the second half, and Mustangs did not allow the Mavericks back into it. You put pedal to the metal and got a great pass there. Nick Smith with the basket, and then there's Will Giddings just using his athleticism and basketball skill, tipping that pass to Miller for a basket, and again, just continuing scoring in the paint.
And early on in the half, you always talk about that first 5 minutes coming out with intensity. That way, you can take away Mankato's confidence and really keep the momentum on our side. And I thought our guys did a good job of that.
West 3 of 4 shooting. I saw a nice pull up from 15 feet. West 6 points off the bench. And again, Mustangs patient on this offensive set, and there's Zager again finding the open underneath inside the arc. He gets the layup. Great pass by Susan Guth. And the Mustangs catch a break, a loose ball, and a great pass by Trammell to Zager. Then William Giddings with back-to-back baskets. Mustangs take advantage of the poor pass and get the and one.
This is a nice little setup by Jordan Miller to find Will Giddings. Good, strong finish through contact. Then Will stays with the play on the press and gets a tip on the ball and puts it in for a nice, easy point. 2 points.
Just great effort, both ends of the floor for the Mustangs to just continue to open this lead up. Bernard Birch, 3 of 5 shooting. A lot of Mustangs shot very well and drives to the basket, draws a foul. And Giddings again. Here's Birch on the right wing, and he'll get the assist to Will here in the bottom of your screen.
Good backdoor find by Bernard Birch to Will Giddings.
And you'll see Bernard driving, and that's just a tough basket. Gets it to go down. SMSU again shot 58% in the second half, 18 of 31. And then just layup after layup for SMSU. There's West with his basket. Casey Susan Guth right in the middle of the paint with a pass from Trammell Barnes. And then Dalston Jones gets in the action here, top of the key, number 3.
Nice little creativity right there where Dalston and Casey, the seniors, playing off each other.
And then Trent Carlson and one. Using his athleticism, getting to the rack.
Just blew by him. We actually were teasing him about that one in practice yesterday. So
yeah, and then of course our favorite video clip of every highlight, the classic running out the clock. It's always nice when the Mustangs can do that and they get the win, 80-63 over the Mavericks. So again, the Mustangs 7-6 overall, playing a very tough non-conference schedule. The more important number, 6-3 in NSIC play. And as you mentioned, Mary and Northern State coming to the RA facility this Friday night. And I think, Coach, we haven't had, we did lose last week, last Tuesday to Minnesota State Moorhead, so it's not like we have this long winning streak, but they're having some success here in the last few weeks. And I think now, I'm sure, is where you got to buckle down and just keep the guys humble and say, hey, we got to continue to play, because just because you're playing at home doesn't mean you're going to get a victory. I mean, these teams, Mary, they beat Moorhead last week, which nobody in the country had done yet until that ball game, and Northern beat Winona State, and those are 2 teams that beat us in the last month or so.
And when you look at Mary, I think they're a team that right now, I think they're playing with a little more confidence coming out of Christmas break. They definitely have the athletes. They definitely have some of the playmakers to be a threat. And right now, I know Coach Buddy will get them going. And on Northern on Saturday night, Coach Sather, I think those 2 posts inside might be the combination, might be one of the tougher combinations of posts inside. And Pryor has always been a handful for us. And Tetzloff is a guy who's a very active rebounder and a guy that we're going to have to keep off the glass.
And, of course, the Wolves, as you mentioned, beat Winona State a couple of weeks ago in conference play, and during the exhibition season they beat Butler. So it's going to be a very exciting weekend. Anytime the Wolves come to town, it should be a good one. Going back to this past game, Coach, and we talked about the high shooting percentage, and we didn't really need a lot of three-pointers, and I think that was the key. Sometimes we can fall in love in the three-point shot. Just 9 attempts, just made the 1 three-pointer. Obviously, we'd like to shoot at a higher percentage, but it just shows that you could still be successful, still score a lot of points despite not making three-pointers, and that goes, again, just teamwork and getting great shot selection.
And I don't know if it was designed that we were not going to shoot threes. I mean, I think we're very capable of knocking down threes with Trent and Jordan and Matt Zager and a combination of other guys. I think a lot of times those opportunities present themselves. We talk to our guys about playing to their strengths, and in doing so, A lot of times we want to get action to the rim first, whether that's off a post touch, whether that's off a drive, and then we see how the defense reacts to that. If they help out on our shooters, well, then we have opportunities to knock down threes. And for the case first, Minnesota State Mankato, they weren't helping out. So those driving lanes were there, that action to the rim was there, and we took advantage of it.
Well, as we talked about during Christmas break, the couple weeks, you had some days of practice there, your preseason practice, getting ready for the games. Let's kind of go back as well and kind of let the fans know how a week goes for practice. We know in football there's the scout team that kind of runs the other team's plays. Is that very similar that you have in basketball as well? And talk about some of the guys that are younger players or possibly red shirts that they're working just as hard in practice and trying to get better themselves, but also pretending that they're the University of Mary and Northern State. How does that work in practice?
I think you bring up a great point. Our scout team this year has been very good. It starts off with a combination of Sean Connon and Derry Jones, who are both redshirting. Both those guys are very good scorers in their own right. Both can shoot threes, and when they get the green light to be whoever they want to be for the scout team, they love it. That's kind of their game days, or those scout moments. And it starts off with those two guys. We got a big guy inside, David Connon, who's redshirting. He's a 6'9" guy who really is a presence inside on the defensive end and rebounding, and has really improved on the offensive end. And then you also have some guys who have been in the program. Right now, Jordan Budenhagen and Alex Cook are two guys who are helping out on the practice setting, and both of those guys have the ability to knock down shots. And anytime you have guys who can knock down shots in a scout situation, it makes a scout team just that much better. And
it makes for some interesting battles. Obviously, they're going hard. They want to, win the practice, whatever drills you're doing, and that pushes your guys as well. The guys that are playing the important minutes in conference games.
And coach gives them every call too.
Okay,
so I give them every call. They sometimes don't even have to take the ball out of bounds, just grab and go. And we try to give them every advantage. On the defensive side of the ball, sometimes if we're going to face a team with a lot of pressure, we'll sneak 6 guys on the floor. We do a lot of creative things to try to bring that competitive advantage to the scout team, and to you always say you want to make it tougher in a practice and in a game, and you do your best to be able to do that.
Yeah, obviously, watching the practices over the years, it makes it. I think the games are pretty darn easy compared to some of the basketball practices, and you're always trying to make them competitive as well. And I think that's a key as well. There are certain games, and you even have off the court when certain high school teams win, the other team, some guys have to run, some don't have to, so it makes it competitive. And you do the same thing with free throws, I'm sure, as well. Late game situations to kind of put pressure on the guys.
Yeah, we do all those types of situations where end of game situations, down by 2, up by 2, with a certain amount of time on the clock, have to do a full court play, half court play, a free throw situation where you maybe have to miss. So we work on all those situations, and I don't think you can have enough reps at that stuff. Even watching the past weekend, you saw the Winona Northern game where there was many situations in that where you can learn from, and that missed free throw was a big one where Winona had a missed free throw, tipped it out, and knocked down a 3 to tie the ball game. And anytime you can learn from those situations, you need to take advantage of it.
Yeah, that's one thing, as we wrap up this week's show, you just look at the conference standings and what a battle it's going to be. It's just a great league, 14 schools, and there's so many, I guess you can't even call them upsets because everybody's so pretty darn equal. You look at Augustana, who was the preseason pick to win the conference, but they've lost a few games at home now in the last couple of weeks. They've lost 4 or 5, and it just shows you the depth this league has. Bemidji State's very good. Minnesota Duluth, Winona, Augie, St. Cloud, and then Concordia. These teams in Northern, and Mary beats Moorhead. It's just a battle. It's just going to be hard just to make the top 8 and then make the conference tournament.
And it is. You watch teams play from night to night, and there's a lot of teams that can score the basketball in this league right now. I wouldn't say there's a lot of teams playing defense at a high level, but there are a lot of teams that can score the basketball, and we hope to be able to be a team we try to be a little bit more complete, be able to score the basketball and defend. Some nights we're able to do that, some nights not, but yeah, there's a lot of competition in the league right now.
And, you know, being able to defend, and that's one thing, you know, the rebounding numbers, about half the game so far, SMSU has been out-rebounded, and the other half we've had an advantage, which is a little unique that over the past years, and of course that all comes down to personnel, but there are ways to overcome that rebounding, and that's, you know, making some shots, obviously, but, you know, playing defense and hanging on to the basketball limits possessions for the other team, but also, you know, creating some turnovers as well, which probably makes up for some of that rebounding deficiencies.
And I think that's where you've seen us on the turnover side of things, where we take care of the basketball, but we're also getting some more tips on basketballs, making more plays on the defensive end, and able to get easy scoring opportunities in transition because of our defense, rather than getting defensive rebounds and then going down and trying to score in a half-court setting. So, yeah, we've been able to overcome that a little bit. Always something that we focus on, especially early on in the week.
Well, again, the Mustangs at home this weekend, taking on the University of Mary and Northern State at the RA facility, and 8 o'clock starts both nights. It'd be great to have some great crowds, students back in session and back at school, and it should be an exciting night of basketball both evenings for SMSU. And one thing before we go, Coach, we should talk about, it's also Alumni Day coming up on the 14th. That's Saturday. You have lots of things going on. You can go to smsumustangs.com and go to either women's or men's basketball page, and there's a link on there talking about that. But you have a lunch and then a game, and it's always fun to get some of those guys back, both women and men's basketball, and they'll be honored at halftime, you know, recognized for their efforts in coming back.
And that's something where we've tried to do a better job of incorporating our alums, and we'll continue to get better at it. But it's a great weekend for them to come back and see some friends and hang out and just be a part of the experience again.
Yeah, it should be real fun night and the whole entire weekend at the RA facility. Again, go to smsumustangs.com for more information on the Alumni Weekend and everything on SMSU basketball. Again, the Mustangs Friday night against the University of Mary, 8 o'clock start. Northern State on Saturday at 8 o'clock at the RA facility. And the Mustangs will be gone the next couple of weekends and will not be back home until February 3rd and 4th, so a great chance to check out the Mustangs this weekend. For the head coach, Brad Bigler, I'm Kelly Law. Thanks for watching this week's episode of Mustang Basketball with Brad Bigler. Until next time, go Mustangs!